you very much, everybody.
And talking about almost everything we can think of, and we share a lot of jokes and ghost story. Thank you for being here and being with us, and so kind of you to come back again today to be with us at this auspicious day of Puja, and we request Rinpoche to share something with us about Kenso Rinpoche, Lama, who is also very dear to us and has been very close to many of us here. And then we talk about how to live life happily and Rinpoche.
Thank you so very much. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank everybody for coming here. I'm very grateful for all of you to come here and hear me speak my small mind, my small suggestions and small thoughts. I don't have much to say, but I would like to start first of all with some gratitude. So we have a roof on our heads right now with many sacred objects. So the possibility to have this occasion in this space is very special. And many people have been involved in order for this to be able to happen. So I would like to ask everyone for a minute of silence in gratitude to everybody that's been involved in finding this place, financing this place, redecorating the place, and maintaining the place. And of course, Isela, and that will gives teachings here and helps everybody throughout their lives every day. So a minute of silence where we actually feel the gratitude of this gift. Thank you. Not too long, otherwise people will. And so anyways, so first of all I wanted to talk about the importance of gratefulness. Everything we have every day is due to something that happened from before and from now, right? So even if we start with our body came from our parents, so this is number one reason to be grateful is our parents' love created us so that we can be here today. And also gratefulness to be able to have the contact and the connection with the Dharma. Because there's so many people in the world who are completely lost and they are suffering, whether it be a physical or mental suffering. And we, on the other hand, don't have so much physical suffering because we live in a very nice country. Malaysia, from what I've seen, is not like some other countries where there's war or there's famine, you know. etc., which is happening every day. So for that we should be very grateful to have a normal life. If we think about the animals, for them what is the most important thing? Is to be able to survive. In order to survive, they need food. They need a warm place at night. And they have to be safe from other predators who can eat them or kill them. So the same way the animals have that suffering, there's also human beings who have that type of suffering in other countries and other places. So we should be very grateful not to be going through those situations and to actually have the opportunity to wake up in the morning and have a life where we can what we do, what we choose, and not something that has been imposed from outside. So that is why it's so important to be conscious of this opportunity that we have every day, living, of being able to breathe, having the choice of what we want to do in our life, and to be in contact with the Dharma, which is what helps us from the suffering of the mind, which is very different from the physical suffering. The physical suffering can come sometimes from the mind. We can create a cancer, for example. We can suffer from the mind, and then that will expand to the body, and then we can have a sick body. So it is so important to take care of the body, because that is our vehicle, and that is what we have from the moment we are born till the day we die. And we are born alone, and we die alone also. So this body is the gift that our parents gave us to experience this life. So if you can every day, be grateful for that. Because there are many people who don't have this opportunity. Even drinking water is so nice. Cheers. So, I wanted to speak about Lama and what a great human being he is, he was, and he will be. Lama he was one of the main people who was able to make Kopan what is today. Most of you are familiar with Kopan, right? So this, the organization called FPMT started in Kopan. And from Kopan everything happened. Everything expanded from there. So Kopan is like the birthplace of all FPMT centers. And the person who kept Kopan alive was Geshe Lamdru, Khyentse Lamdru. So he was an amazing person. He was so humble. When you looked at him, you wouldn't imagine he was such an amazing person, because he would never show what a good practitioner he was, or the pureness of himself. I had the luckiness. I was lucky enough to meet him when I was very young. When I was like 4 or 3 years old, I don't remember. But every time I met him, it was a gift. I would be joyful just being near him, because he would always be laughing. Just being near him would make you laugh, even if he didn't say anything. And as we know, he passed away last year, and luckily I got to see him again one last time before he passed away. And it broke my heart to see him in that state. He was suffering so much, but he never mentioned he was suffering. He never expressed his suffering. So we are very lucky to have had the chance to meet him one time or another, and we have now the opportunity of seeing his relics and coming in contact with the relics, which is an amazing gift for everybody who's going to be here when it arrives. When are the relics arriving? 10th of November.
I heard you on the 8th, but it's okay.
So I recommend for everybody to come to visit and see and pay their respects and make their prayer, because he was very amazing human being. He was very, very special indeed. So, thank you, Lama Nundu. Thank you very much. So, today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about happiness. Yes, this is something everybody knows, but it's something that we don't all experience. Maybe we do experience in short moments. So the concept of happiness, it's actually something that all human beings have always had. Basically, happiness, if I make a short definition of happiness, is the result of being satisfied with yourself. When you do something that fulfills what you want to do, or what you feel is right, or what you feel makes you joyful. In other words, not unhappy. Because many times unhappiness may start in one moment, but after that moment, that concept of unhappiness is gone. And it is us who prolong that unhappiness. We keep it continuing. Right now, if I'm unhappy, next moment is I'm a different person, because we're changing continually. But it's my mind and it's my ignorance that keeps it going. So from moment to moment, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, sometimes even months and years, people are unhappy. But the original moment is just one moment. When is that? Is something can happen from outside, or maybe we project a certain expectation, and that expectation does not reach what we want, so we are unhappy. So basically, unhappiness starts like that. It starts from one moment. Of course, there's other different types of unhappiness which comes from outside, like losing a very good friend, or maybe having physical problems. But always unhappiness can be changed. Because unhappiness originates from a perception, from the concept. It's a concept. It's not a state of mind, actually. Because if it was a state of mind, it would continue forever. So it's our mind who creates this feeling of not wanting to be the way we are at that moment. So for example, there's a saying in English, it says, the grass always looks greener on the other side, even though it's green on our side. Why is that? Why does that happen? It's because we compare. Comparing is something very normal for everybody. But if you think about it, you cannot really compare anything, because everything is completely different. You can go to the sea and look at the sand, and each grain of sand is completely different from the other ones. But they're all there. There's so many millions, billions, trillions, gazillions of grains of sand. And each of them is unique. Because when you hold one in your hand, you're holding that one. You cannot hold the same one two times. It's like the river. When the river flows and you stand in the river, it's continuously changing. It's never the same water. So it's a little bit like that. So that is why we cannot compare. You cannot say, oh, that person is wiser than me, or I am wiser than that person. Because each person has their own wisdom. So of course, there are people who have a wisdom which is very, very special, which can help other people to find that wisdom. But ultimately, the wisdom is inside. It always is inside. Each person has to find their own wisdom. Dharma helps people to find their wisdom. That is why sometimes some people, they get lost, because they think Dharma is their wisdom, which is, it is in a way. Of course, it is wisdom by itself. But for it to become an experience, like the wisdom inside wisdom, then we have to understand it and find our own wisdom through this. It's like a light that shines and helps us to find our path. But ultimately, the one who walks the path is yourself, not the teacher or the Dharma. It is yourself who has to walk that path as an individual. So sometimes that is why it can create some confusion, because you search outside. And the more you search outside, the further away you are from yourself. So the key to happiness is not to be unhappy. And it's much more simple to see it that way. Because if you go after happiness, it's going to be so difficult to find it. Because you're searching outside for something that will make you happy. But it can never make you happy, because happiness depends on yourself, on the way you see the world, the way you see your life. So the first step would be, try not to be unhappy. It's much easier. Right? When you see, oh, I'm unhappy, oh, maybe I should not be unhappy. Why am I unhappy? Search why. If it's something very serious, it's normal. It's samsara. We are all in samsara. So unhappiness is part of life. Just like anger and jealousy, selfishness, all these things that come together with what we are, that create unhappiness. They are part of us. And when we are unhappy, it's because we are not in control. We are slaves of our emotions. So how to try to control this, or try to be aware of these emotions? How to do it is by observing your own mind, observing your thoughts. How powerful are the thoughts? We check everything that has been created by the human being, starting from our clothes, to the shoes, to the telephone, to the table, to the roof, to the house, to the buildings, the planes, the cars. All of these things have been created by the humans, which is not nature itself, it's not natural. It's been created by us. It all started with a thought. In order for it to happen, there has to be a thought. Without a thought, it cannot be created. That is how powerful the thought is. That is why you have to be very, very, very careful of your thoughts. And sometimes when you have negative thoughts, you have to observe and understand why and where and how they come. Because if we don't understand that, that's where we fall into unhappiness. That's where we fall into suffering. For example, sometimes, whether we like it or not, we judge people. Because of their actions or because of what they say. And it's something, sometimes we cannot help it. We judge it, it's automatic. So, it's okay to judge as long as you don't condemn, because everybody's changing constantly. So today I may be a bad person, but tomorrow I may change. So you always have to give them a chance. So try not to judge, because we don't have the right to judge. The only right we have to judge is ourselves. That is the only thing we can actually really judge. Because we are the only ones who really know ourselves. Nobody really knows ourselves as we know ourselves. The same applies to everybody else. So that is why if you want to judge yourself. That is number one. And if you're going to criticize, especially your brothers and sisters, you have to be aware that when you criticize, you're harming yourself. You're not creating any harmony at all. You're just hurting yourself. So that is something very important that we should keep in our mind. Because sometimes it can be interesting, oh, this person did this, that person did that, blah, 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 blah. But actually, number one, check yourself. Forget about everybody else. That is their problem. That is their business, their job. Your job is to check yourself all the time. That is the most important thing. So number one, try not to judge. Number two, try not to criticize. Number three, try not to compare. Because when we compare, we suffer. Even sometimes when you look at the mirror, at yourself, you always see your defects, right? I think everybody does that. You always see, oh, I have to sit here, or my eyebrows are strange, or I'm too skinny, or I'm too fat, or whatever. But this is all a concept. I'm sure other people that see you don't see the same things that you see in yourself. You know why? Because we always compare ourselves with other people, with how we want or we think it should be like. But actually, everybody's unique and everybody's beautiful in their own way.